you think that possibly that Bush's goal in Iraq is to create a democracy has had any impact on what's going on in the Middle East today? Just a question.
Well, I think it's the right question. Whether or not and I wouldn't discount the impact of the example in Afghanistan as well, however imperfectly. I mean, what you see with the blue-stained fingers in Iraq, can you imagine the courageous people? It was back in, I think it was 2006 or 2007, people lined up in the street to go vote when insurgent militants told people that they would kill people if they saw them voting, or if they saw evidence that they had voted. People walked down the street holding up a blue-stained finger. You know, it is my fond hope, and I know that it was in the hearts and minds of people around President George W. Bush and in the mind of the president that if we were successful in helping people of Afghanistan and the people of Iraq establish traditional democratic institutions, constitutional governments, that would not only be to their benefit and to our benefit with a steady ally oriented toward the West, but that it also might it might catalyze the kind of change that would encourage other people across that part of the world to give up on the lies of the billionaire tyrants that sit atop their oil dictatorships and blame Israel and the United States for the hardship of their people, and to say, no, that's not good enough anymore. Whether that's happening, whether that's what's motivated people, I can't say any more than you could say. But it would be the right kind of jealousy, and my hope and my prayer is that that's exactly what's happening. I'll never forget, last line is my second trip to Iraq. I was down in Basra, and this local imam came and met with us over lunch, and this is out in the southeast part of Iraq. And he looked at me and I said, what do you think of the American soldiers removing Saddam Hussein? This is about a year after he fell. And I'll never forget that. You can imagine this imam, he's kind of, right out of central casting, the long robes and big long beard, and he looked to be about 90, and just these fiery, piercing blue eyes. And he looked at me and he started to speak to me, and he gestured with his hand like this, and as the interpreter took time, the imam said to me, he said, we will never forget what the American soldier has done for us. Because the day that Saddam Hussein fell, he said, it was like a dark curtain was lifted off of our people, and the sunlight came in for the first time in 25 years. And I've never lost that. And I know that in the popular media in this country, it's, America is despised in that part of the world, but there's really something about the sacrifices that American families and our soldiers have made. There's really something about the halting success that we see in modern governance in Afghanistan and Iraq that could ultimately, I hope and pray, pay dividends for freedom and liberalization across that part of the world. And if you see the advance of freedom and democracy, the advance of private property, and the advance of constitutional governance, I think it may someday be able to be tied back to the sacrifices that have been made by American soldiers and their families. So help us God. Thank you much. This has been an honor.